Colossal cave. Gotta crouch down. Watch your head, Trenton. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So this room is going to be known as our crystal forest room, and it gets its name due to all of the features that you will see hanging from our ceiling, which they thought looked like an upside-down pine tree forest. Now, all of the features that you will see on our ceilings are indeed stalactites, but to be specific, all of the formations that you guys will see inside of our cave today are going to be made from this calcite crystal. And this calcite is also a form of calcium carbonate. But as groundwater will seep in from our surface, it does begin to drip downwards until over time it forms into a stalactite. And as that water continues to build, sometimes it drips off that end, hits the ground, and then begins to form upwards to bring out our stalagmites. And it is very easy to confuse the two. But a stalagmite might trip you, it is on the ground, and our stalactites are hanging tightly to our ceiling. And then all around this room, you guys can see we have what looks like melted ice cream topped with dusty pollen. All of these smoother formations that you guys see on the very top are known as flowstone. Underneath, all of these ridges that you can see are known as dripstone. And this is formed by that calcite-rich water flowing over this area for millions of years and depositing itself in many different layers. But when you guys look up at our ceilings, you're going to notice that a lot of our stalactites are actually missing their tips. And this is not a natural occurrence. This is something that we call cave vandalism. And that brings me back to Solomon Lick. So, Solomon discovered our cave in 1879 after he had lost some cattle. And then because he also owned a hotel and a ranch only 2 miles away, he would often run this little promotional deal where he would tell his guests, hey, if you guys stay at my hotel, then you can also visit my cave, and you can take home as many of those Hohokam artifacts, or our stalactites and stalagmite tips as you would like. He would often use them as decorations throughout that hotel, chalk doorstops, or because calcium carbonate is a common ingredient in Tums, you could have even used it as a bat poop flavored Tum. Now, if you guys wanted to reach some of these, you could use a rope and lasso them off. However, there are reports of them bringing rifles in here and shooting them off, as well as just climbing on all of these formations and snapping them off wherever they can reach. And another form of that vandalism is this guy at the very top of our stairs. His name is Old Baldy. Now, Old Baldy here gets his name because everybody that traveled through our cave in the past would rub their hands all over his head for good luck. They thought by doing so, then they would be less likely to bump their own head. Oh, yeah. He's going to go all out.
Scared her. Jesus Christ. Holy smokes.
Can you guys just step over? Thank you guys.
You lost?
No,
I mean,
as soon as she said calcium carbonate.
Now, so they would rub their hands all over his head for good luck, but What they were actually doing is removing that protective layer of dust, pollen, and bat poop that coats this entire room, and then destroying this off into that castle. And then to the right is the throne chair. On it are going to be the king and the queen, and they're watching all of the elf citizens that are traveling down below on that little ledge. And then underneath them is the dragon's head. You guys can see those two bulging eyeballs and the nose right behind a rock. So his body curls. All of those stalagmites are supposed to be the spines on his back, down to that tail underneath that electrical wire. All right.
They had to stare at this a long time.
Yeah, so the guy that named most of our formations was named Frank Schmidt. He spent a majority of his life in here. So he
Yeah,
had a
almost
whole
got
lot
me
of free time.
touched.
How much is like this?
Got a hat on.
The calcite crystal? Not very.
Aren't they supposed to keep going, or they're supposed to stay here?
Maybe keep going.
Well, I don't know if it was
I guess.
more like,
We're supposed to keep going? Yeah, maybe that's
This cave is not built for tall people, I'll tell you what.
No, it's not. I went to that big cave museum, and Denise walked right underneath the deal.
Oh.
No way I'm getting underneath that.
Yeah.
There's a.
Anybody need water or anything?
Nise touched the wall.
She touched the wall?
Thought it was a belly.
She touched bat poop.
She said it was a belly.
Sorry, the deal got my head. It touched my head, luckily.
I think I had my head on when we first came in.
Yeah.
You might want water?
Anybody want water?
No, I'm good.
George was like, come on, let's
all right,
lighten it
thanks
up
for
for me
waiting,
now.
guys. This is going to be the largest room that we get the chance to stand in today, and it's known as our drapery room. It gets its name due to this formation of dripstone that you guys will see growing on the wall right over here, which they thought looked like curtains or drapery that you would find inside of your home. But each of these pieces individually are called cave bacon. Yum. In between those slices of bacon, you can see that we have these sharp little crystals jutting outwards. Can we all see those okay? Okay, so those are called halictites. Now these halictites are formed by water pressure making their way through this limestone. They're tiny little pinholes. But because of that, they defy gravity. So whereas most of our formations will grow downwards, halictites are capable of growing into swirls, and in some areas they even create butterflies. Now, if you follow my light, you can see we are standing underneath an ancient slip fault line. Wedged in this fault line is going to be a giant piece of Escabrosa limestone, which they believe wedged itself in that fault line about 27 million years ago. Right? So, seeing as we are a dry cave, when all of our features grow, they grow about 1 cubic inch every 100 years. So unfortunately, most of the vandalism that you guys see inside of our cave is not something that will be fixed in our lifetime. As they do grow similar to icicles, so thickness as well as length. And then when our stalactites and our stalagmites, they form something that you guys can find inside of buildings called columns. And columns such as these took about 100,000 years to form. But when you look really closely at them, you'll even be able to see the little line right here from where they've met in the past. And that is called their junction points. So, considering how long it takes everything inside of this cave to grow like that much, that's why it's extremely disappointing that Solomon came in here and then proceeded to snap a whole bunch of it off and take it home with him. It does, however, lead us to our cave's savior, and his name was Frank Schmidt. Now, Frank went on one of Solomon's early tours, and he was so upset by all of the vandalism he saw that he decided to buy the mining lease for our cave. After he did that, he would charge everybody in this room just 25 cents. He'd give you a candle, a rope, or a lantern, and then let you explore the cave for the entire day. Which sounds kind of fun, but that was before they had built the floors we're standing on. So in this room, there's actually nothing but a 40-foot drop into darkness and boulders. And they would come in here and hike around on that for a long time until the Great Depression hit. All of a sudden, 25 cents stopped being enough to feed that family. So he would have to wait until Franklin Roosevelt became president because then he created the New Deal plan. And under that plan was the group, the CCC. That stands for the Civilian Conservation Corps. They're the group of young men who entered our cave from 1934 to 1938 and built us all of these stairs, the handrails, our floors, as well as a 2,000 light bulb system, which worked a lot like Christmas lights. So, if one of those bulbs would go off, the entire cave would just go dark for the day. Which we had to upgrade in the 70s and 90s to what you guys are going to see on a majority of our walls now. This isn't a natural occurring formation. This is actually just fiberglass. But Frank would eventually go on to give tours inside of this very cave until he turned 84. And then he passed away at 85. So he also used to live inside that little gift shop right upstairs. That used to be his house. But if he was the one doing this tour right now and you guys wanted to leave for some reason, he wouldn't have gotten you escorted out. Instead, he would have told you guys to find your own way out. And then he would have showed you guys a couple of formations that you could have followed. So, if you want to follow me to this side of the wall, then I will show you those formations. If you guys figure out the first one, you can go ahead and shout it out. But we do have some long hair that reaches the top of the head. She has an eyeball, a really big wart, a huge nose, a snaggletooth, and it kind of looks like she's eating a limestone cookie. This is going to be our cave witch. It's one of the few times that you guys can actually follow a witch in a cave because her nose points you out towards the entrance where we just came from.
What the heck?
It's okay, thank you. Now, on the opposite side of the cave witch, we have another guy that get you lost, and his name is Mr. Magoo. And Mr. Magoo is going to be a cartoon character from about the 1940s, and he can't see. So his nose points you deeper into our cave where you can get lost. But we do also have a friend of the cave witch. She's been down here for so long that she got lonely. So she ended up conjuring Shadow the cat. And then we even have our ladder tour.
I came out that dizzy.
Man, this gives me claustrophobic a little bit.
You?
Yeah, a little bit. It's tight.
Now through the Hall of Time #1, you guys get to see some of those Hohokam artifacts that were once in our entrance room. This first one is called the mano matate, and it's what they would use to grind all of their foods. The second one is going to be a regular mortar that's missing its pestle. But this is what they would use to grind that red and yellow ochre to make the coloring on their pottery. Now, the only reason that Solomon did not steal these artifacts like the rest of them is because he couldn't even tell they were artifacts. He thought they were regular rocks. And that tells you exactly how much he knew about the inside of our cave.
Got a crab walk through it.
Oh, thank goodness. Huh? Right?
Wow. That looks crazy. Boy.
And then I will have some of you guys stay on that side of the pole just so we can make sure there's enough room in here for everybody. But if you're behind that wall, then go ahead and pick a side, whatever side has more room for you to stand in. All right, so this is going to be the Grotto of Lost Treasure, or the Movies and Popcorn Room. And this isn't the deepest that will be inside of the cave, but it is going to be the furthest. Now, we do call it that for a couple of different reasons. First off, we have had movies filmed in this very room. The one that inspired it came from Sesame Street. It was called Sesame Goes West. And basically it was Big Bird in this room looking for his lost cookie treasure. But while he was down here, he stumbled upon our cave T-Rex. You can see his eyebrows, there's a nose and a big old mouth. Now, since Big Bird's character is practically a big chicken, he saw this guy, thought he was a real T-Rex, and it freaked him out, so he ran directly through the wall, right over here, where he left us his Big Bird shape. But then we also do have popcorn in here as well, all over our cave walls. All of this stuff that you guys see on the wall, which looks like popcorn, is actually something called cave coral or coralloid. So, how this is formed is going to be a really quick history lesson about how this entire cave was formed. But about 300 million years ago, this entire place was nothing but a vast shallow sea that contained a lot of bioluminescent creatures. And once they died, they would sink to the very bottom of that seabed, and that seabed was converted into limestone. But then about 70 million years ago, there was the upheaval called Laramide orogeny, which created the Rincon Mountains where we were standing. And basically, all of that heat and pressure from the tectonic activity would transform the interior core of that limestone cap into a harder form of limestone, which is known as Escabrosa limestone.
Escabrosa limestone.
Perfect. So that's going to be all of that dark gray red rock you guys will see surrounding our heads currently. But then about 10 million years ago, there was a crack in that cap. Water began to seep in, and eventually all of that water would mix with sulfuric acid and carbon dioxide until it created a solution that would eat away at the weaker areas of that limestone and only leave the hard Escabrosa limestone. So that's why when we walk through here, it's like we're walking through a giant Swiss cheese block. We are one of the very few explored and largest solution caves in North America. Now, all of this white that you guys will see on the wall is going to be the water line from when there was water inside of this room. About 10 to 12,000 years ago, this cave would begin to go dry. All of that water would start to seep down into lower areas of our cave, and then it began to release these little carbon dioxide bubbles. Eventually, all of that calcite crystal would harden around those bubbles, and it would create us some popcorn. But the really cool part about this is because of all of those glow-in-the-dark creatures, all of our calcite crystal is phosphorescent. Is that a fan?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
super cool. I love it. But I can do things like this. So it's absorbing all of the electromagnetic radiation and then slowly releases it back to you. So you can draw all day in the cave. What's your name, little man?
Parker.
Parker?
Mhm.
Super cute. So we'll do a big old P on the wall for Parker. Adorable. Were you able to see that okay? Okay. Now, with my light, you can also see that we have this dark blue dust all over our cave walls. And this isn't something the cave produces, rather this is something that comes from each and every single one of us that travel through the cave. It's what we call human dust. So it's all of our hair, skin, nails, and clothes fibers that we leave behind as we travel through our cave. Chances are, if you guys are wearing darker colors, then you can even see it on your, okay, not too bad. Come on, you guys. Hey, me and you both. Jeez. Okie dokie. And then right over here we have the altar room. Do you guys know what this altar, or can you guess what this altar could have been used for? Sacrifices. Yeah? No, I'm just kidding. It's for weddings. So if you guys want to get married, we do get about 3 to 4 requests every year. And apparently the last guy that got married in here was dressed in a bat suit. Why not? Now, through this Hall of Time number 2, we are going to see 3 different display cases. The first one is some artifacts from train robbers in the 1880s. The second one are tools that Frank would give you for a tour. And the third one are CCC modification tools. So,
Parker.
Yeah. How did you know?
At the base of our stairs, you guys get to meet Cornelia. And Cornelia is going to be Fang's sister stalactites, but we call her Cornelia because she looks like a piece of corn on the cob. Not the corniest joke I'll make all tour. This next room is going to be the Silent River. And at one point in time, this was an actual river that slowly flowed through our cave. Again, it would stop flowing when the cave went dry 10 to 12,000 years ago due to climate change. Now, as you guys enter this room, if you guys look to your left, you will see the very base of our sinkhole. So, if we were doing our wild cave tour, which is a 5-hour freehand climb through the cave, what I would have you guys do is start from the very base, and then make your way to the top where that railing is at. That's also where Frank would have you guys tie a rope, and then rappel yourself down into this room, which is known as our living room. If you guys were able to see that railing, then I'll have you stop for me at the very top of our stairs. Watch your head. Oh, good. Come on, Parker. Can you climb all the way up there?
I don't know.
So for our wild cave,
Got him.
have you guys start our sinkhole, and then climb to the top where that railing is at.
Hit this part right here.
That's also where Frank would have you guys tie your rope, and then rappel yourself down into this room.
I've only seen footprints off in different hills on the path.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
5-hour free climb? Oh my goodness. I know, right? Oh my goodness.
But depending on what they're made from, they make different sounds. See you. That one is going to be mostly limestone on the inside, whereas these two are pure and calcite crystal. But we're going to head out of here and we're going to pass by another cave bell. So I have 2 of these cave dongs. I'll hand this to my guy Parker. And then Parker's going to hand it back so that everybody gets the chance to try, okay? This is going to conclude the tour though. If you guys do have questions, my name is Saida and I'll be out there on that terrace. Just let me know. We're going to pass by Old Baldy and his really narrow set of stairs. Please try your best to sidestep them and then drink some water when you guys get out of here because you guys might be a little dehydrated. Okay? Thank you guys for coming to our cave today. I hope that, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I hope that everybody gets home safely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to head out this way and I'll show you that cave bell, okay?
Follow me.
Let her get past.
Thank you.
I always wanted
Yeah, I'll go look. Crazy.
This one, you know,
Pretty cool. Seems like the lower you get.
And we might be able to see more bats on the
Yep.
way out of here, okay?
Very good.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yep.
So as we head out of here, you guys, you're gonna try to keep your eyes on the feet so that way you guys don't get so bothered by that outdoor light.
Back to the outside. Oh, that heat. No.
Oh, you did. Oh, thanks again. That was wonderful.
Fine, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too.